As usual, I was on the internet. Um but I saw like this, I guess it was a TikTok person uploaded on Facebook or something like that. And he was talking about when you argue with your significant other and that person literally brings up like something that's like a year ago, a week ago, 5 years ago. Um, it's literally something that you're not bringing up problems in a relationship. You're bringing up stuff that you're not healed from yet. Um, a person can say that they're sorry, but it's like dead. Like he was like, you can say sorry, like, I spent all that money, but you have to get to the point where you start paying out your debt, right? Thankfully I have very low debt. God, I was smart enough not to have like crazy, insane amounts of debt, but I've been lucky that way. Well, I can't say lucky. I've been blessed that way. But anyway, going back to the point, the art of arguing. It's. I don't think. Yeah, it's like arguing can help. Arguing can help. People may actually look at you like something's wrong with you if you don't argue. Um, I don't know. Something about me changed. When I was like in my earlier teens, I can't even say teens, like early 20s, like mid 20s, first relationship, marriage, I used to argue. Like argue. Both people, veins popping and screaming at the top of our lungs, just trying to get a point across and, literally tit for tats and, did the whole thing. And then something clicked. I don't know what clicked in me, but I got into the point where I would state how I feel. And if you receive it, you receive it. If you do not, then you don't. And whatever you tell me, I have to be disciplined enough and responsible enough to listen to what you said and process it, right, for what it is and not what it could be, what it should be, what it ought to be, but just process it as what it is. And I think once you're able to kind of look at it with that outlook of no expectation, not expecting the right answer the person was supposed to give, I think we do that a lot. It's like if somebody wronged you, you're expecting them to understand the wrong, right? And if they don't, it's like it's dissonance, right? It's just like, oh, what do you mean you don't understand, and then you're literally going through that vicious cycle of trying to plead your case all over again. And you add different things to it, right? Raising your voice, repeating of words. And I gave up. I literally gave up trying to be right. I gave up trying to find the winner. And now it's, especially when it comes to relationships, I'm very, very, try to be as calm and collected as possible and try to speak as strategically and logically as possible, because when you're angry and when emotions are already behind it, it's very easy to be lost in the emotion, and you would say some really foul things to people when you are in working through your emotion and solely your emotion. So I try to be as logical about it as possible. Does that make me a robot? Probably. Probably. It's almost weird, right? Speaking with someone that can be like, you did this, you did that, you did this. Okay, I understand what you're saying. That makes sense. And I apologize for X, Y, and Z. I'll do better with X, Y, and Z. This is my case, and this is how I feel about X, Y, and Z. And you kind of dissect it from there. It's a little weird because it's just like, I'm yelling, but you're not. I'm mad, but you're not. Why is it this way? And it's Not the fact that I don't like to argue, it's just I'm not going to put energy into something where I'd rather put energy into being proactive and finding a solution, instead of me just keep repeating a case that both parties are not receiving. It's just like, okay, we just disagree, we agree to disagree at this point in time, and we can resume this later on when we're both calm, and then really find like what's going on. As soon as the person starts getting disrespectful, it's just, you're being disrespectful. We can talk about this later, because I can see that right now we're not, we can't have this conversation without it getting into that, It's like, I guess, incredible amounts of hurt and incredible amounts of, I gave up thinking the person was going to see, I gave up for the person to see their accountability in things. So it was very much like, I'll be accountable for myself because I can only control myself, and I'll leave it as that. Like, of course, be compassionate, be open to that person's, to that person, because you may be missing something, that you did something so like very wrong, why they feel so passionate about it in the first place. Like, you really have to kind of put yourself out there and understand where that person's coming from, which is empathy. To have an empathetic lens in an argument is very hard to do, especially if you have been wronged, So it's not easy, and I get that. But the way that you can have empathy and still speak without insulting. You can have a discussion without tit for tat, right? You can be very mature in it. Because if you really care about somebody, it's not about, I'm going to hurt you. It's, I'm trying to find what's the issue so we can fix this thing, Sometimes it's a miscommunication. Sometimes that person definitely knew what the hell they were doing, but that's their journey. And I don't know. The road to forgiveness and going through that pain and anger and accepting, it was fucking hard. It was fucking hard. It's not easy. And it's, there's still so many things that it's just like, have you really truly forgiven it, Toya? You may have forgiven this, but have you really forgiven that? Am I mature enough to face that without me wanting to go for the jugular, And I don't know. Some things I don't know. I have not faced the person. I have not spoken to the person. So it's just like, I don't know how I would react when it comes to that particular thing. Maybe everything else, you'd be like, you're the scholar of forgiveness, but maybe not that. We're human. We're not perfect. But if you can adhere to the principles of being mature about your communication, having, good communicational skills, then maybe you can hash it out where you can forgive the person. Because you're like, oh, I didn't realize that you were in that state. I didn't realize that I was in that state and it was affecting you, or whatever the case may be. You don't know. But I have gotten to the point where it's very, when I speak, I take out, not the fact of I take out emotion out of it, but I take out the need to express in high emotions when it comes to problem solving. I'd rather be logical. I don't know if that's correct or if it's not correct. But I have my way of showing love. I have my way of showing anger. And I would tell that person, I'm very angry right now. And I don't think this is a good time to really talk about it if it keeps escalating, you know, or even if so, I'm very angry right now, but this is what it is, and I understand how you feel, you know, and still be able to be mature enough to kind of see their side of it, and hash it out. If you know, you control yourself, you literally you control yourself, you control how you react, and that is like one of the biggest things that they teach when you're kids, and it's something that very few graduate from. And I'm one of them that did not graduate from it for a long time, until I got into a certain point of just, I don't expect nothing from you. I don't expect for you to get it right. I don't expect for me to get it right. I don't expect for you to get it wrong either. Like, you know, so it's to the point where I get it. Life happens. Life's shitty sometimes. But what I look for is, are you accountable for the things that you've done? Because my biggest goal is for me to be accountable for the shit that I did, you know, but I'm not accountable for anybody else's fuck ups, you know, and I had to get to that point where it's not your fault for somebody else's fuck ups. It's just their loss, you know. You did the right thing and you can go on with your life. And I think that's you can get to the point where it's just, that's when you get to the, okay, I understand, okay, you know, without it, you having to state a case. So this is how I feel. You need to see how I feel. It's just like, you don't really necessarily need to understand how I feel. I understand how I feel. And I think the biggest thing is that you're sharing this emotion with me. I think it's because I'm willingly being a participant of this conversation. It's my responsibility to understand how you feel. If I don't agree with it, I don't agree with it. But I understood what you said. Understanding and agreeing are two different things, you know? Like, I think it's foolhardy for us to shut shit down without listening to what the other person says. And it's not easy for us to do, because there's many times where I've shut shit down and it was just like, you should have listened to that person, because that, you know, you look crazy right now. Like, you know? And there are other times where I was fully correct for shutting shit down. But you don't know this until you actually hear it, because you need to, it's their side, your side, and there's the truth. No one knows the truth yet. So it's just like, are you going to, okay, I'm gonna listen to you out, but I'm still going to keep my choice of agreeing with it. I think it's a matter of almost pride. It's just like, I'm not listening to this shit. Like, I'm not listening to what the hell you have to say because you're mad, you know? And it gets to the point where it's, if you're having a disagreement with someone, if somebody did some foul shit, you know, or you hurt, it got back to you, are you going to listen to that person? Are you going to be like, nah, you dead to me, I don't want to hear shit you got to say? Like, you know, that person, probably something extremely, you know, like, oh, it makes sense why this happened. Okay, you know, or are you going to be like, nah, I'm shutting shit down from the get-go. Fuck you, bitch. You know, like, are you going to be that? Does it have to get to that? I don't know. I had one relationship where I was very, very extremely logical, almost eerie logical. I don't know if the person was able to take that kind of approach from me or not, but I just got to the point where it's just like, he specifically said, I don't like to argue. I'm just like, wow, I don't like to argue either. Like, you're really going to see a person that doesn't like to argue. I hope you understand that, you know. And I don't know. Hopefully the person took it like, yeah, she really doesn't like to argue, or, you know, or whatever other vice versa way that they took it. I don't know. I wish them well, and they know exactly how I felt when I felt it every time we had a disagreement. Hopefully I was able to speak concisely, effectively, and was able to put my point across without harming the other person, doing no harm. It's sociology 101, do no harm. Are you able to express yourself without stabbing the person, you know? And I don't know, this thing called life, sometimes it's like, there's beauty in the stab, right? It's beauty in the stab sometimes. And some things don't need for you to fucking be violent with. I don't know. I try to be kind-hearted. But if I know it's not getting anywhere, I definitely will be like, okay, I understand what you said. I received it. Thank you for that. And I disagree. Anything else you want to say? Stockism, I guess. Just don't give a fuck. It's not like you don't give a fuck about the person. You just don't agree. You just don't agree with what they said. Just don't agree. And you have every right not to agree. Like, everybody has different perspectives, and that all stems from, your surroundings, how you grew up, nature versus nurture. So it's, who am I to sit there and say you're supposed to think this way and you grew up completely different? I have no idea your backstory, and your way makes perfect sense to you. Who am I to denounce how you grew up? I'm literally denouncing your parents. I'm denouncing your friends. I'm denouncing all the experiences you ever had, things of like dysfunction. That's up to you to want to change that. If you're doing something that's clearly wrong, you can easily say, my environment, but you still, it gets to the point where it's just like, I'm not going to denounce what happened to you, but I will say, how are you using this to evolve who you are, to improve who you are? Because we're constantly trying to improve us, right? We're trying to constantly improve our situations. There's certain things that I need to work on, like, and I know this, and doing things by yourself can be extremely hard, especially if it's a different arena, and you're trying to learn certain things. I did it with the nonprofit. It was a completely new arena, and I had to come into the point where I don't expect anything from you, and this is what I'm setting for myself. And if I hit that goal, I hit the goal. If I exceed it, I exceed it. If I don't, I do not. But that doesn't mean, it doesn't mean you give up. Doesn't mean that you're a failure. It doesn't mean that you're like the king or the queen. Like, it just means exactly for what it is. People don't agree with that. They don't agree with that. I think I have to adhere to that same kind of mindset when I was in that relationship, and how I used to communicate to not every aspect, but a lot of aspects of my life. Because I got very defensive over my walk with God with people, right? And it's just like, you don't know what you weren't there, and this is what this is, and I have to defend myself of what I feel and how I feel. And it was just like, whoa, Toya. We thought we mastered this. No expectations, right? This is their perception of what it is, and this is your perception. This their view, my view, and then there's the actual truth. I'm not going to be the person that's going to be like, you can't, So it just is what it is. Let me see what's going on right now. They knew, huh? They totally knew. Okay. Thank you very much. They really, I'm not even gonna say it, but they really, really don't want me. I thought something was already set in stone for today, and I didn't realize that it was, but then it's just kind of aligned that way. So it's just like, okay, because today is pretty much my fasting day, and it kind of helps me and them because the energy you have to produce, and if you are literally you're working on nothing, you are hoping that your body does what it's supposed to do, and you start burning the fat that's already stored, without you feeling lightheaded or fucking just completely out of it because you ate nothing. But it's, I don't know, it's a catch-22. It's a double-edged sword. If I don't eat, it benefits something else, but I also lack in everything else. Yeah. Thank you. Want a soda? Yeah, you can have the soda though. But it comes with it. And then there is the other side. If I do eat, it's satisfies and I have enough energy to do the task, but I'm also not helping my situation, and it makes it worse for everybody. So it's literally a double-edged sword. But that's not what I was trying to talk about. I'm really trying to talk about being in the point of not having to taking the nastiness out of arguing, taking the ill will out of arguing, because you can have taking that out literally makes it a debate at that point.
Here you go, lady. I'm filling up the thing for the hot water thing.
Thank you. So when it gets to that, I forgot to lock my door. So when it comes to that, I think emotionalists, not saying emotionalists, because you have emotions while you're debating. You can feel excited, you can feel, you can feel whatever, but it's like fine-tuned, like you're able to filter the emotions so this way you react properly while you are debating. And I am a debater. I love debating. Not the fact of me trying to prove something right, but I love learning. And if I feel like, okay, well, I have this information, you have this information, let's add these two together, find out what's right, we'll find out what's wrong, and then we all learn something from out of this. I love bouncing ideas and really going deep and, dissecting topics and, for what it is, and this is, X, Y, and Z, or that does not have to take for you to be a dick. Like if I didn't know something and you knew more about the subject, or if I was wrong about a piece of information, that doesn't give me grounds to be like, well, I'm gonna give a low blow now because, like, you proved me wrong. That can turn into what? An argument. That's what people usually see arguments as, right? Oh, it's high emotion. People are saying awful things to each other, trying to say their side of the story, right? It's a lot of bumping of heads, but almost violently. And I don't like that. I don't like the fact that someone has to try to take a dig at me to make their point, You can say you hurt my feelings without having to hurt somebody else's feelings, and it will be received. And I don't expect you to get my point. I don't expect much of anything. If you do, you do. If you don't, you don't. That doesn't take away my value that I see you. Like, I value very much. I value the person very much. Just we oftentimes forget all the good moments and all the good attributes somebody has over a topic. And it's just like, out of all the times that you were fucking just awesome sauce, that doesn't negate the fact that we're having, we're in this right now. It doesn't take that away. I'm going to be like, do you want something to eat? Do you want dinner? It doesn't take away that. I think I'm mature enough to have done that. Am I going to be like, I don't like you right now because you big poopy head? Yeah. But I'm not going to be like, I'm joking around. I'm not going to be like, I'm dead ass mad at you and I'm going to cut your throat when you sleep. Like, that's some real, like, I don't know. People that give low blows like that, they be like, you capable of doing some really mean things. Like, stay away from me, I like to be kind to people. I like to be kind to myself. I like to be kind to my significant other. Like, I can get my point across without having to say some real foul shit. It's unnecessary. It's completely unnecessary to do so. And it's very childish. If that's your go-to, it's like, yeah, you're an asshole if, like, that's you constantly do that. But then some people are used to that and they think it's like a form of love. Telling someone something evil, oh, that's why I fucked your cousin. It'd be like, and that's love? That's not love, boo. Like, That's not cool. That's not cool. I'm taking it to the extreme, but people do shit like that. And people be like, yeah, that's, afterwards we'll have makeup sex. I can't have sex with someone that just said I had sex with your cousin. It'd be like, you're gonna have to leave. Yeah, you're gonna have to leave forever. you know. I don't know, but some people actually take this as a form of like a love language, and I think it's like the dark side of love language, or the dysfunctional side of love languages. Anything toxic should not be part of a love language. Like, it's love, like, I don't know though. Just random thoughts, random ass thoughts.